All right, so far we have created a histogram, well in this case a box plot. I'm going to go back to the histogram plot that I created before. I'm going to go to add to plot, customize plot appearance, plot type. I'm going to select histogram so we can go back to the histogram. Then I'm going to go back to select variables. I'm going to talk a little bit about the subset area. So INZight allows you to subdivide the data set using another variable. So for instance here, what we are displaying is all counties of all states in all regions of the United States. But if we want to compare state by state, we are going to need to subdivide all these counties by state. That is done by going to the subset by, opening this menu, and then select what you want to subset by. So we could select, for example, by region, right? And then what INZight will do will be 6 little histograms with the geographic regions in the United States: Central South, Pacific North, Pacific South, Atlantic North, Atlantic South, and Central North. So this allows us immediately to see that, for instance, that counties that are on the Pacific North tend to have a higher income per capita than regions that are on the Atlantic South. Okay, this is the South. As you can see, there is a difference in the median. Right, there are more counties here on the Atlantic South than on the Pacific North, but on average, these ones over here have a higher income per capita than these ones over here. Atlantic North also has a highest average, or median in this case. The average is the median here, than the Atlantic South, etc. If these regions, geographic regions, sound too abstract to you, we can always subdivide by state. But in that case, we will end up with 50 different histograms and box plots, so it may be difficult to see what happens, but there's an easy workaround. So I'm going to go here to again to subset by, and instead of region I am going to select a state, and this INZight is going to create 50 different little histograms that are difficult to see. This is one of the cases in which, you know, using a very large screen can help, but if you don't have a very large screen, you can always download this file and then zoom in. So what I'm going to do is exactly that. You will see that down here there is a save plot button. But before we do that, we need to select the appropriate format. We can export as a JPEG, as a PNG, as a PDF, which is the one that I'm going to select. And then INZight, the new version of INZight, also has the option of exporting this as an interactive HTML, which I have not tried. I must confess I have not tried this feature, but it sounds interesting enough if you want to create interactive graphics. So for now, I'm going to select PDF over here, and I'm going to click on Save Plot. And automatically what happens is that INZight will generate a PDF, all right, and I will save it. In my case, it saves it on the Downloads folder, calling it Plot, all right, Plot 1, Plot 2, Plot 3, Plot 4, okay? And as you can see, when INZight exports things, it exports this as a rectangle. Sorry, as a square, not as a rectangle as it appears over here. That makes it easier to read. And now we can zoom in and start comparing, for example, one state to another state, right? So we can see, for instance, that, I don't know, for example, counties in Tennessee tend to have a lower average, a lower income per capita on average than New York counties, okay? As we can see right now. The distributions look very, very, very different. We can see, for example, this is a very interesting feature of the data. Counties in Washington, as you can see, have a relatively narrow range in terms of income per capita. If you compare the range, lowest value, highest value of the state of Washington to the range in the state of Virginia, you will see that income inequality county by county is much larger in Virginia than it is in Washington, on the state of this is not Washington DC, this is the state of Washington, as you can see, right? Texas has an outlier over here, right? As you can see, Utah has another outlier here. Oregon has the range is very, very narrow, as you can see, extremely narrow, particularly if you compare it with Virginia above. So these are the kinds of insights that you can get when you explore the data this way. By the way, anything that you export as a PDF is a vector object. That means that you can open it up in Adobe Illustrator, right? So I'm going to just open the download, grab the plot that has been generated by INZight and drop it on Adobe Illustrator, and Illustrator will open it up And so I'm going to just click on that. There you go. And this is completely editable. If you know how to use Adobe Illustrator, you will be able to select any object over here and change its style. All right, I can change these from Helvetica to Gill Sans. You know, I can change the color of the font if I want to. Right, I can for example select the background color of one of these objects and then go to select same a fill color, and then change the fill color of all the graphs if I want. Right, that's not something that I recommend to do in this particular case, right? But this is just to illustrate the idea that if you're knowledgeable in Adobe Illustrator, and I have been using Adobe Illustrator for more than 20 years now, you can easily style any graphic generated in Adobe, in INZight, to be used in your infographics, right? So this is super easy. You can erase things, you can change things, you can select anything you want, move things around. I can scale things up and down, etc., to make these things fit into my composition. Anyway, let's go back to INZight now that I have shown you how to export files and how to subdivide and compare different distributions, because the purpose here was to compare the different distributions to see what we could find. And let's move on and do something else.